10 years later, there's a lot of that has happened, and chop wood, carry water now gets used in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of middle schools and elementary schools and high schools. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to take this to the places and spaces, especially where people that don't look like me, that they get access to this type of stuff, because I think that these are the types of advantages that don't look very big, but if you get exposed to this stuff whenever you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, I saw the difference. When I would work with a kid that was 17, 18, 19 years old that had somebody like me in their life when they were little, it was the biggest cheat code ever. You could always tell. They carried themselves with so much more certainty, security, the way they operated, everything. And as soon as I'd find it out, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course. And so I just really made that, my mission, that I wanted to take this to the masses and kind of destigmatize it as well, to make it more palatable, to make it more digestible, to make it make sense, to stop communicating. Sure, I've studied at Ivy League schools. I can sit down and talk with PhDs, and they may not like me because I don't have a PhD. They may not like the influence that I have, but I can still communicate with them and use the vernacular that makes sense to them. But guess what? When you're talking to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, when you're talking to people that haven't studied in those ways and haven't had the privilege of getting that type of an education, you have to be able to communicate in ways that make sense to them. And that's really, you've talked a little bit about that with my books. I try and write the way that I speak, and I try and communicate in ways that actually make sense. And just because there's a big fancy word that you can use that might sound cool, really the only person that's going to sound cool to are other academics. It's not people that are actually trying to apply something. And so really trying to put it in language that is easily digestible, that makes sense, and that meets people where they're at.
And I think the apply there is the key term, because like you said, if you use that big word around certain people, blue collar workers, underprivileged kids, they're shutting off. They are. Yeah. They're not listening anymore. Like, you might get one or two that will, but you're not going to get through. So, Jenny has a question about, like, when you work with programs, do you don't just focus on performance, but also like their personal life and how that has an impact on them, and whether they know it or not, they're bringing that into the sport as well. So like, if you don't focus on your person and how you are, like, it has a detriment on everything else.
The first thing I want to make clear is that I haven't really worked with the program in I think it's 4 years now, three at least. When I was 32, 33, I just turned 37 2 weeks ago.
Happy late birthday.
Thank you. I cut 99% of work out of my life and realized that I needed to kind of shift my focus and put first things first and kind of get off the road and stop. And so Lucas Jaden has been running the brand for the last 3 or 4 years. I support him, and I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but I hand off everything to him. But yes, whenever I was out working with people, and if you look at, the foundation of every single one of our books, identity is huge in that. And that is, that your value, the lie that society wants us to believe is that your value comes from what you do. And so if I were to go speak somewhere, usually the first thing I do when I land is I go to Home Depot and I get a 15-foot thick chain. And when I walk out on the stage, I wrap that around my neck. And I tell people that if you believe the lie that your value comes from what you do and not from who you are, you try and do life with this big, heavy chain wrapped around your neck. You try and perform with this big, heavy chain wrapped around your neck. And no one is going to perform better with that wrapped around their neck. It's why you see people do really weird things under pressure, whether it's miss a layup or fumble a ball or stuff that they've done a million times that they're really good at. But as soon as you start believing that lie that your value comes from what you do and not from who you are, you just put immense amounts of pressure on yourself. And it's why so many people are drowning and suffocating, because there's this pressure coming from this lie that just chokes them out. And so, we believe completely that your value comes from who you are and not from what you do, and that every single human being's life is infinitely priceless. And so,
honestly, like, that's something that a lot of people need to hear. And I've been talking about it for a few months because, after reading your books, it's kind of changed my mindset to that growth mindset that you talk about. One of the things they are in Pound the Stone, and also, the book Hustle, that people should pick up. You talk about mentors and having good mentors. And obviously in Pound the Stone, it's Russ.
Yeah.
That, you really opened my eyes, and you made me remember that I had a mentor, and it's really the only time that I feel like in my life that I had a mentor, when I was in high school. And it was between my junior and senior year, and he was my JV basketball coach. Mm-hmm. And he helped get me from being on JV as a junior to being all conference as a senior, and a lot of people thinking I could go play college ball.
Yeah.
But he didn't focus on my play. Like, he helped me and stuff, but he helped give me this mindset. Like, he helped me with my anger for the first time in my life. Like, I shifted from this person who had a quick fuse to, you could literally, like, this happened in a game, you could punch me and I wasn't going to retaliate. Like, that is, I don't know, like, the amount of good that a mentor does. And really what he did, and this relates back to sobriety, is, he put a beacon in my life that is almost like a lighthouse. And, going through my rough stretch from college to trying to find what I wanted to do to be proud of my life, to not feeling like a failure, I always had this light that I was going towards. And it was really the light that he put there in my life. So what a mentor can do is really important, and we lose sight of it. But what does a good mentor, mean to you?
One thing I've always tried to do is sit at the feet of people that I look up to and learn from them. It's something I don't know. I've always kind of done it. I've just been attracted to people that, for whatever reason, there's, some area of their life that I look up to. And I think that's one of the big things that I've had to kind of learn, is that it's usually area focused. Not everybody is great at everything in every area of their life. A lot of the guys I know that are really good at business tend to struggle in family stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the guys that are really good at family stuff tend to struggle with business. So it's kind of trying to sit at the feet of people and learn, but also being really careful who you are mentored by and who you're taking that advice from. I kind of look at mentorship the same way that I do mental training, and people are like, they always introduce me as an expert in mental training. And I'm like, everybody is an expert in mental training. We all listen to stuff. We all watch stuff. We all read stuff. We all are surrounded by people. We talk to ourselves, and we visualize every single day. So, it's why it's funny when people are like, all right, so, what do I need to do with mental training? 10, 20 minutes a day, like, well, the thing is, like, I can give you some exercises to do for 10 or 20 minutes. I can give you exercises to do for 2 or 3 hours. But this is a 24-hour a day kind of thing, because we're constantly mentally training. We're never not mentally training. And believing the opposite is only going to make it worse. You think that this 5-10 minute thing that you're going to do is going to override the other, 86,000 seconds in your day. Like, oh, you spent 400 seconds doing one thing, spent 86,000 seconds doing something else. Like, probably not going to be that helpful. You can run for 5 minutes a day, but if you eat awful stuff and sit for the rest of the day and don't do anything else that's helpful, that 5 minutes it's better than nothing, but that's not going to do that much. And so I think that mentorship is the same thing, that like some people are intentional about mentorship, but everybody has mentors. Some people's mentors are the real housewives of, Hollywood. Some people's mentors are on social media. Some people's mentors are on, whatever, the NBA. Like, we're constantly being mentored by people. It's that there are some people that are intentional about that. They're intentional about who they're allowing to influence them. And then there are other people who just allow that to happen, that would never even use those types of words. But the same thing with what we actually call, what most people talk about with mental training, we call the fuel for your heart. And those are those 6 things of what you read, what you watch, what you listen to, your self-talk, who you surround yourself with, and what you visualize. It doesn't matter whether you believe in that or not. Everybody's doing that all day long. You are fueling your heart with something. And the same thing, whether you're intentional or not about who's, quote unquote, mentoring you, you're being mentored by someone. And it's just a matter of, are you recognizing that? In Burn Your Goals, Jamie Gilbert talked about how there was a guy on our team at Vanderbilt our freshman year that Jamie would listen to what he had to say and follow it as if it was, the truth. And that guy didn't know anything. But, that was who we learned from. So to me, it's more a matter of, are you being intentional about the mentors in your life? Are you are super intentional about that, and being really careful of, like, when you look at the people, especially in business, like that you look up to, are you checking and seeing, like, do they have the type of family relationships? Do they have the stuff that's going to matter on the deathbed type of impact in relationships that you want? One thing that's always at the forefront of my mind is, like I'm going through a very, very stressful situation the last few days with a situation that's probably going to end up in a legal battle. And I'm frustrated because I don't care so much about the outside stuff. I don't care so much about, the external things. What I've always cared about is the people I want to hold me in the highest regard are the people that I'm around on a day-to-day basis. I want the people that I'm closest with. I want my circle. I care what those people think about me. People out in the world, they can think whatever they want. You can think that I'm a this, you can think that I'm a that. Cool, whatever. But the people that spend the most time with me, the people that I do life and business with, I care what those people think. And, right now we're in a situation where it's frustrating because, the yin and yang of Lucas and I have so much empathy for him because his situation is hard. He's got me, and I'm more of a lover and a fighter. And, when people do things that, when they just straight up, steal from you, I'm like, well, I'm going to probably fight. And, Lucas is more the pure lover and peacemaker. And, but, in the situation that I'm going through, I'm so worried about and focused on on my relationship with Lucas more than anything, of like that's where my heart is at, of like, I'm angry about, people just blatantly stealing things and using it as their own. But also, how do I try and navigate this situation in a way that, that I don't hurt my relationship with Lucas, because that's what really, at the end of the day, on my deathbed, the people that are stealing and, blatant copyright infringement, whatever. But my relationship with Lucas, that's what really matters to me. And that's the type of stuff on my heart of like, I want to always try and live my life in a way that the people that are closest to me hold me in the highest regard, not the people that read my books or think like, I know that I can impress those people. That's easy. Whenever people see, this tiny little bit, that's easy. But I care a lot more about, those people that see you on your off days, those people that know you at your worst. That's more of my focus. And so when I think about mentorship, it's trying to find people that, one of the things I love about one of the guys that I've had in my life for a really long time, since college, he crushes it in the business world, has done a phenomenal job. But the thing I'm most proud of is when I talk to his wife, and his wife tells me, when Scott comes home, he has that same energy that he gives to our kids. And she's like, I don't know how he does it. Like, he comes home and he still is just the same person that he is with you guys, of giving energy and adding. And she's like, I don't know. And that to me means so much more than like, yeah, he'll probably sell his business one day for $100 million or $200 million. And that's an incredible accomplishment. But what I think is special is that his kids get his best energy, and that his kids aren't shortchanged on that because his business gets his best energy. And so, that question of, who gets your best energy, who gets your best time, who gets your best love? We live in a world where very often that's not the people that are going to be there at our funeral. That's not going to be the people that are going to matter on our deathbed. And so being really intentional about the people that we're being mentored by, and just knowing that that's really important down the road.
And I think something that we can lose sight of too, and it's part of how we grow up, is we can also choose who we're going to put our energy into, and who ends up at our funeral. Like, just because you grew up with someone for 25 years, they don't want to come with you. If they want to drag you down, they want to be that crab in the barrel that you talk about, pull you back to them. Like, it's okay to put some distance there. And if they don't want to come with you and be there, it's all right to move on. And I love what you said about we're all being mentored, because like I said, like your worldview, it makes you turn